December 2011. I still remember her glowing face full of life and passion. Although her hair was short now and she couldn't play her favorite sports, that smile on her face stayed with her until the end. On one afternoon of 2012, my friend lost her life to cancer. But she wasn't alone. 1 in 3 New Zealanders have some experience with cancer, either personally or through family or friends. Through family and friends. Whenever we hear this word, we instantly think of suffering and death. But I believe I can change that with my idea of the natural killer virus being the ultimate cancer treatment. Research shows that approximately 40% of the people who are diagnosed with cancer die, and the rest 60% are left to bear the treatment side effects. It is true that due to the advances made in cancer treatments, this disease can be controlled, but often at the expense of some major side effects to the patients. Many people don't realize that most current treatments are not that effective. They are just there to increase the life expectancy of the patients, but not to improve their lives. Cancer is now one of the major health issues in our country and throughout the world, and I believe there is a better way to treat this disease. Before exploring my idea, let's answer a few questions. What is cancer? How does it happen, and to whom can it happen? This disease is defined to be a complex of diseases in which malignant cells divide rapidly without any control and invade other tissues. This leads to the formation of tumors that can then spread throughout the body. Cancer can come in various forms, over 100 different types affecting different organs and tissues. There has always been a misconception that this disease only occurs to people who smoke, drink excessively, or are unfit. In short, they're not living a healthy life. Yes, these factors do increase a person's chance of getting cancer, but this disease can strike anyone, regardless their age, ethnicity, or gender. So all of us here can be victims of cancer. Scary, isn't it? When looking at current cancer treatments, chemotherapy is the most common, along with light radiation and surgery. Let me briefly explain how chemotherapy works. A chemical is injected into the patient's body, which has the ability to block some metabolic pathways that are essential for the cell's functionality. The problem here is this treatment is not specific for cancer cells, and it also affects the healthy cells in our body. This leads to a range of side effects, such as low immunity, hair loss, and weight loss. These treatments not only have side effects to the patients, but they also have a negative effect on New Zealand's economy, social life, and environment. So today, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to share with you a novel idea of the natural killer virus, which can be a potential cancer treatment with lower side effects, specific targeting of the cancer cells, and will prove to be beneficial to New Zealand. I know that this idea might raise many questions in the audience. Why is she using a virus for cancer treatments? Aren't viruses harmful to us? And why is this virus called a natural killer virus? What's the catch? All these questions are genuine, and I will give you the answers to them in the next 8 minutes, so please stay interested. Scientists have discovered that a mutation in the RAS signaling pathway is one of the major causes of cancer. This pathway is responsible for controlled cell division in our body. Our cells are dividing at a very high rate, and such mistakes can happen. So while I'm speaking to you, tiny cancerous growths are occurring within your bodies, but our immune system usually prevents these growths from spreading. Natural killer cells, or NKCs, are the snipers of the immune system equipped to destroy any cancer cells. Because cancer cells exhibit similar properties to normal cells, these abnormalities are recognized by NKCs, which then eliminate them. However, malignant cells are very clever. In order to invade the entire body, these cells release special chemicals that can deactivate the natural killer cells, thereby lowering the patient's immunity. Because the NKCs are also responsible for initiating other immune responses in our body, they play a very important role in protecting us. So, a natural killer virus is actually a combination of a natural killer cell and a virus. Generally speaking, viruses are considered to be pathogenic to humans, but there are some viruses that are non-pathogenic, such as the reovirus, which is found to target cancer cells only. Viruses have the ability to get into the host cell and use the host DNA for viral replication, destroying the host cells in the process. Like NKCs, the reovirus also detects the abnormal nature of the cancer cells and turns the cancer cells into its host. So the reovirus seems like a perfect candidate for cancer treatment. Then why isn't it being used? The problem is that the virus is recognized and then killed by the host immune system before it can reach the cancer cells. To overcome this problem, scientists have tried to insert a large dosage of this virus into the cancer patients while suppressing their immunity. This approach introduces high toxicity levels in the patients, causing severe side effects and, for some, death. To date, natural killer cells and reovirus have been developed as separate cancer treatments. If we combine the properties of a natural killer cell with the reovirus, we would get a supervirus, which can possibly put an end to this disease. You may ask, how is it possible to create such a complex? Well, the answer is quite simple. You see, viruses have been used as viral vectors for quite some time. So it is possible to modify a virus by removing or inserting specific genetic codes. The natural killer virus can resolve the problem of both NKC deactivation and the destruction of the reovirus. So a reovirus can be modified to be less immunogenic, allowing this virus to hide from the host immune system and successfully travel to the cancer cells. This removes the need of suppressing the patient's immunity. Also, by inserting specific gene combinations from the natural killer cells into the virus, will allow this virus to exhibit similar properties to NKCs. This would in turn increase the patient's ability to effectively destroy the abnormal cells. The NKC gene combination will also let the virus to initiate local immune responses around the affected cells. This would improve the patient's immune system and facilitate a faster recovery. By further experimentation, we can identify the specific genes that are involved in initiating various immune responses in natural killer cells and use this to our advantage. We could build a library of natural killer viruses in which each virus can be specific for different cancer types. The most important feature of this idea is that although cancer cells might deceive the immune system, they cannot escape a virus. This idea not only looks at the welfare of the patients, but it is also beneficial to New Zealand. Each year, approximately $511 million is spent in New Zealand for cancer treatments. And this amount is predicted to increase a further of $117 million by 2021. If a fraction of this money were to spend in developing this new idea, economically, New Zealand would benefit. Genetic modification is a well-established technique. So once this virus is constructed, this cheap and readily available technology can be used. This would easily compensate the amount of money spent on current cancer treatments. When cancer strikes someone, their lives are dramatically changed. It is very common for cancer patients to suffer from depression, making them socially isolated, and I have personally witnessed that. About 3/4 of the people who are diagnosed with cancer are reported to be victims of severe depression. With this new treatment, we can give these patients a chance to live a normal life without any major side effects. Cancer not only harms the patients, but it also destroys our environment. It is found that the chemicals used in chemotherapy linger in the patient's body and are secreted into the waterways, causing pollution. This is not very evident to us at this moment, but these chemicals are building up in our waterways and slowly the effects will also show. The environmental benefit of this idea is that the virus is not found in the patient's body once the cancer cells are destroyed, limiting the pollution factor and also minimizing the environmental management costs. With this idea, we can possibly gain world domination in the field of medical research and bring in major foreign investments to New Zealand, which are essential for the growth of our economy. Now, a little girl will not have to shave her hair or spend half her life in and out of hospitals. She can live a life that she deserves. We have lost so many great people due to this disease. Sir Paul Callaghan also lost his life due to bowel cancer. I believe that with this new idea, we can make cancer a history in medical science and finally end this epidemic. Thank you.
Thank you. Can you tell me a bit more about the reovirus? It attacks cancer cells.
Yes, it does. I'll tell you fully what it does. This virus is actually, it's very common, and at this moment I'm sure we are all infected with this virus. The only thing is it doesn't show symptoms in us, is that our bodies have already created antibodies against this virus. So as it targets our healthy cells, these chemical reactions happen which enable it to replicate, therefore it doesn't show any symptoms. But in cancer cells, there is a misfunctional RAS signal pathway which the reovirus detects, and it makes that, and it's like, it makes that its host, and the chemical reaction that occurs in normal, in our healthy cells don't occur in the cancer cells. So the virus can easily replicate and destroy the cancer cells.
If chemotherapy reduces the system's immunity, why can't you then introduce the reovirus and not have to mess around, mixing it up with
the natural killer cell? Yeah. The thing is, it does reduces the patient's immunity, but by killing healthy cells, which is not what we want, because then the patient is already suffering from immense symptoms, and when you insert a reovirus into the patient, it will then increase the toxicity levels, which can increase the severity of these symptoms. So.
But the reovirus will only attack the cancer cells.
Yeah, it will.
Right.
But the thing is, you can't insert one virus and expect it to do the job. It has to be a huge, like trillions of viruses have to be injected in the patient in order for it to work.
And similarly, trillions of your natural killer cells plus your reovirus.
Yeah. Well, just the reovirus with the genes of the natural killer cells combined.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
But, substantial quantities of them will need to be.
Yes, of course.
So can you imagine any side effects?
Well, I've talked this out with a lot of people, molecular geneticists, and the normal side effects that we come up with is common cold. That's the only side effect you can get. That's what we have, hypothesized. But other than that, there are no side effects to this because that's how it works.
And you can see this being applicable to all the different kinds of cancer?
Yes, I do see it applicable because the natural killer cells, they destroy any cancer cells. So if it's leukemia or if it's pancreatic cancer, any type of cancer. So natural killer cells are the first one that recognize the cancer cells and then go to the cancer cells and start to destroy them by doing various, they have various techniques to do so. So for each different cancer types, they have different functions. So they have identified the genes in natural killer cells that are responsible for doing different functions in it. So we can use those genes and actually mix them up with this reovirus.
Thanks, Shalini.
All right, thank you.